Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen. Greetings at UCMC. We start our work, and the topic of the first press briefing, publication of the resolution of the results of the Ukrainian Industrial Days. I would like to give the floor to the moderator of the discussion, Vitaliy Gordyna. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Greetings. I would like to greet you with New Year, and our event is really interesting. It is in a broad format. It is dedicated to the result of the events that we held jointly with business, with power, in November and December last year. First of all, this is second Ukrainian Industrial Week, and also we had the Ukrainian Days, Industrial Parks discussions, and the third conference, New Industrialization. And we held these events due to our international partners. And I'm really grateful to Lyudmyla Musina, a coordinator of UNIDO program in Ukraine, and German National Agency, GIZ, also Switzerland Bureau on cooperation with Ukraine, and representatives of the European Commission, including Grzegorz Drozdy, who represented the European Commission, and he participated in our events. Dear colleagues, you see, you feel that the problem of industrial development is really important for Ukraine in these times. The government has ambitious task to increase export twice, to increase GDP 40%, and we all believe that we should have proper strategic view for industrial development in Ukraine. Otherwise, we won't be able to reach our goals. And we were saddened when we didn't see a separate section in the program of the government dedicated to industry, modern industry, Industry 4.0. And this immediately reflected into real figures. You see yourself that our event was held on the backdrop of negative dynamics and reduction of the pace of industrial development. In October, it reduced 5% compared with the same period of 2018, and in November, 7%. And now we are waiting for the results of December, but these are disturbing indicators, and we should immediately correct them. What is the more important? The development of industry needs systemic and midterm steps. We remember that during our events we had bright speakers, industrialists. I remember Volodymyr Zolotaryov's speech, director on economic activities of Pievdenkabel, and he mentioned that industry pays to the budget through income tax. It paid in 2018 nearly 100 billion, and the state financed only 100 million, and this was only concerning coal industry. 1 hryvnia invested in industry production provides opportunity to Ukraine to get 5 hryvnias through taxes, through cooperation, through export. And these figures, they are really important. We should remember about them if we want to really reach export and to increase it twice. The most important aspects for business, and they send proper signals to us. We need to create a European model a well-developed system of institutionalized and financial support of business. Unfortunately, Ukrainian industry is in asymmetric system compared with European colleagues. Businessmen in the West, they have access to funds, to credits. Unfortunately, our industrialists are deprived of those things, and our colleagues paid attention to this, and they provided proposals, and we hope that they will be included to the measures of the government that they plan to make in the framework of implementation, first adoption of strategy and then implementation of strategy of industrial development. If we speak about policy and economic aspects, this is the declaration of industrial development as the most important direction for the development of the country for 2020-2021. And also maybe there should be a separate body that will deal with these issues concerning industry. Also, this is adoption of the strategy and plan of implementation of the strategy. And also, this is about creation of the Bank of Development. It was mentioned by our speakers. Also, there was an attempt, and it was nearly completed in Ukraine in 2019, the Development Fund for Industry. Starting August, this question is suspended, and we hope that the new government will unblock this issue and this financial institution will come into operation. It is successful in other countries of the European Union and in neighboring countries. Also important aspect is the access of business to opportunities to get local and state guarantees. Unfortunately, the law 1555 regulates the system of guarantees, but the state doesn't have proper roadmaps how to make it at the regional level. And we provide some recommendations and proposals on this topic. Also, I would like to mention that one of the proposals of the previous conferences, including creation of non-state funds, it was implemented by the Chamber of Commerce and the Committee on State and Private Partnership platform at the UCCI, and also the creation of Impel. It will provide for attraction of investment to the development of industry and the agrarian sector. These are things are really interesting. This is the initiative of the business, and we would like to inform you that the Premier Minister what he proposed, it was implemented. And I would like to also mention one more thing. There was a serious discussion about technical regulation. And Denis Basilevych moderated this discussion. Some aspects connected with the conclusion of visa-free regime for industry. These issues were clearly discussed, and business would like to join these processes. For Ukrainian and foreign side, they should promote they should reach the agreement on this. Also, one more important issue during the session is to create in Ukraine a market, a safe market for cable products. And examples were brought by our colleagues in Odessa and other cities. There were some tragedies, and we should think about it, how to make order in this market and to prevent access to of falsified products to the market. And we believe that we should develop a draft law, we should update the draft law 2172 or to create a new draft law in order to fight falsification of such products. So I would like to give the floor to Lyudmyla Musina, coordinator on cooperation with UNIDO in Ukraine. Now I give the floor to Lyudmyla. Thank you. I would like to say that I'm really glad that UNIDO became a strategic partner in both events, the second forum of industrial parks and third conference, New Industrialization, because UNIDO is trying by different ways to help Ukraine to increase production at the proper level, because the modern world demands this. We transfer to the fourth industrial revolution, and Ukraine should not lag behind. UNIDO helped develop the strategy for industrial development. It is not adopted yet, but all modern trends are included there, and modern instruments for support of industrial development in new conditions, facing new challenges. And we try to do everything possible to help the government in implementation of the strategy. Taking this into account, I would like to say that recently UNIDO provided a report on industrial development, industrialization in digital age, it is called, and that is stated that particularly important now in these conditions of challenges and conditions of the fourth industrial revolution to support industry, to support industrial base, because only with the help of this base, the country will be able to move forward and to introduce new technologies of digital production. Unfortunately, we are lagging behind compared with other countries. We are in the group of the countries that are lagging behind. We are at the 58 or 60 place among 140 countries, and we should do everything possible in order to modernize industry, to introduce new technologies, because this process is slow. Also, UNIDO supports the development and introduction in Ukraine of the sustainable development goals. And we are responsible energy for goal 9, the introduction of sustainable infrastructure and sustainable industrial development and innovations, because this is a topic that is really close. There should be synergy of innovative and industrial policy and development of infrastructure and digital and solid infrastructure that is also needed. And of course, this conference and this forum, they should give some incentive at the level of the government, at the level of the organizations and in the regions. And of course, we support the holding of Ukrainian industrial weeks in the regions. This was the second industrial week this year, and it is great that we came to the regions, because business is working there, and they have the most they have a lot of difficulties there. I would like to stress that we all think alike in this direction, and I believe that government will hear us. Thank you, Lyudmyla. Once again, we thank UNIDO for their help. This was really interesting. And about industrial parks, Igor will tell us about this topic in more detail. Once again, I would like to thank you. Now I would like to give the floor to Volodymyr Vlasyuk, the Director of State Enterprise of Ukrpromzovnishekspertyza, chairman of the Committee for Industrial Modernization at UCCI. He is the leading expert in the field, so I would like to give the floor to Volodymyr. I know that in processing industry, you have a lot of information about it, and we would like to incorporate your view in our final document. And please, you're given the floor. Thank you, Nikolaevich. Yeah, we really have our own recommendations that provide answers to questions how to go from the low level of income to high level of income. And we won't be able to do it without processing industry. We will be trapped in poverty if we don't have this processing industry. No matter how much grain we provide, we will just spend all this money for the equipment for growing and of these crops, and then for equipment. That's why we should change this model. For this, we need modern processing equipment. And Lyudmyla mentioned we all think alike. We all understand that without processing sector, we won't be able to develop, and this sector should appear in Ukraine. So countries, when they understood their way, they were able to develop themselves. So this right name, modern industrialization, we would like to bring this issue high on the agenda because it is still low on the agenda now, and that's why we do not have good results. So the results of 9 years, it was 11%, this percent of industry, of processing industry. In Poland, this is 17%, Slovakia 20 or 21%, Turkey 19%. So they have much more, and these are more successful countries than Ukraine. And they are in the category of income that is above average, and also productivity of labor in industry. We have a big problem in this. We have 3 or 4 times lower productivity of labor in this industry. Here we have colleagues from Macroeconomic Research Institute. They had good work. They provided a good work about this issue. Added value is about $9,000, and in Slovakia this is about $45,000 in Slovakia, 41 in Poland, in Turkey it is 38, and you understand that due to this industry that connects the whole economy in one, the country succeeds. So other countries, they understand that without industry, they won't be able to succeed. That's why they use special instruments to support this industry. And Ukraine does not have it. So during this conference, we tried to dismantle some myths. We criticize them, and we reject them. So they say, let's open market to have free competition. But there is no competition, because the country that is well developed abroad, it comes to Ukrainian market or works in its own market. They have sophisticated instruments of support, starting from crediting of export, and also subsidies that are provided in the form of programs of energy saving, environment protection, and they do it correctly. In this way, they get big subsidies. And these sophisticated companies, they face Ukrainian companies, and we understand that in open competition, our companies do not have a chance. because until now we do not have powerful instruments that would develop industry. And why countries do this? Because they understand that they create power of this country by this. So this is a highly competitive market. If Ukraine does not have this instrument, we won't have good results in economic development. So first, during the conference, we said that we should create instruments that other countries have, key instruments. A Bank of Development, like in Germany, we called it National Fund of Structural Development of Economy, and this should provide for enterprises to modernize them, to create new. Also, we should have a fund for agriculture, and this fund should provide for the industry. So the products should be consumed by our farmers, and this will make them more competitive, and will be proper market for our products. This is also agency. They have 200 million hryvnias, and this is so little. So more money should be provided. Also, there should be industrial parks that work in all the countries. They are well thought through. They provide a driver to motivate the creation of the new enterprises. And an innovative fund. We have state investment company DIVCO. It is too regulated. They need more money, and they should be scaled up. Also, I would like to say that we won't have development if we do not introduce fiscal instruments. And also, there should be proper rates. Because we surveyed the companies, and they said that the first problem is financial, and instruments should be financial, like in other countries. So the program needs financing. The most important help is financial, and also technical policy, not only adaptation of the standards with the EU, but also technical policy that will prevent overuse of railway cars and other equipment, and in this way we will be able to prevent technological catastrophes. We would like to bring attention to industrial policy. It should become a priority in our country. Thank you very much. Your speech is really great. So we combined many events at our platform, and this corresponds European traditions when everyone gets united on one platform. And also industrial week that was held. Denis Basilevych will tell us about it. This is coordinator industry for Ukraine, a person who did really a lot for this week, and he is going to tell us about it, and also Ms. Serebrianska is going to tell us about it, and also about the sessions on technical regulation that he held. Thank you, Vitaliy. It is great that our conference continues, and we have the spirit and drive. It goes to this year, and this is now we have recommendations. We start this year in condition and with assessment that are not really positive for us concerning growth of economy. I would like to say that we have hundreds of engineers who work in aviation. They work on Boeing components and Airbus components. In Ukraine, we have navigation equipment that is developed by our engineers for Germany, and also digital technologies and equipment is exported to powerful energy centers of Europe and US, but this is not due to support because government does not provide proper support for this. And for us, it is important to create this year and to start systemic work to increase competitiveness of our industrial sector. I would like to speak about European industrial policy, do it, and industrial visa-free regime that is now being actively discussed. So the policy, and Grzegorz Drost, representative of the European Commission, he came here for half a day to deliver his speech and to tell about the activity of the European Commission and about the initiatives of the European Commission. And these are very powerful things. And the European community, they are now lagging behind the US and China, and they create synergy projects and platforms in order to speed up, in order to have a synergy to unite efforts and resources. These are hundreds of billions of euros to they attract investment, and this is from the side of the power and business. They have powerful initiatives and platforms that lobby in civilized way the continuation and strengthening of the policy. And the Industry for Europe platform, Industry 4.0 for Europe, they unite 149 industrial unions in Europe around the goals that they share. The first goal is that industrial policy should be top priority of the European Council, and the second goal, the person who will coordinate this policy, vice premier, and also long-term strategy of development. And June, we created a platform, Industry for Ukraine Coalition, that unites about 40 business unions, and the goals are the same. Industrial policy should be top priority. Also, we should have a coordination body headed by vice premier that would coordinate these resources that we have, and also long-term strategy of development. And we have a manifesto, and it is on the site, and this platform works, and this is really important, and we are moving forward. Our European partners stated that there should be a shift to the new model of development to create value chains, and the Ukrainian side should develop these directions. I will mention them. We have translation of this. These are concerning vehicles, concerning healthcare, CO2 emissions, water treatment, security, and Europeans believe that these strategic initiatives should be of top priority in order to go up to the next level of technological development. We should join them in this, and we included it in our we have 16 regions at the start, supported by the Ministry of Economic Development. They provided proper support. This is a joint project with UNIDO. We held an interesting project this year. The regions highlighted their problems and concerns and obstacles they have in doing business in order to create a project to create products and value. we should not work only in Kiev, we should work in the regions, and the transformation of industrial facilities. This issue should be worked on. They should be included in the strategy in our oblast centers. And Dina will tell us more about local government and amalgamated communities that have resources and opportunities for implementation. And the third area industry in .ua. There you may find online broadcasting and reports by administrations, contact information, analytical and analytical group headed by Mr. Vlasyuk. They prepared these documents. And also important instrument ACAA. This is important instrument for integration with Europe, and this should be implemented. And also the law was adopted concerning market oversight. This was basic condition from EU to start pre-evaluation mission in order to hold negotiations to provide to conclude with industrial visa-free travel. So we should help to hold these negotiations in order to start this industrial visa-free travel, and we should use the benefits of this process, and we have a lot of work ahead. Let's do industrial policy this year. Let's do it. I give the floor to Diana. Good afternoon. We are really grateful that the Association of Cities of Ukraine became a partner of Do It. Why it is important? Because the processes of budget decentralization have shown that communities, if they are efficient, this will provide for the economy of the country. A lot depends on communities. And in the context of Do It, we carried out a survey of local government, and 16 amalgamated communities participated. The results were interesting. They show that today local government bodies, they actively join the processes of development of economy in their territory. There is overall understanding that without competition, without provision of quality services, without comfortable conditions for investors, it is impossible to reach financial stability. It is impossible to reach higher level of financial independence from the state budget. The survey has shown that 68 respondents said that in the territory of their community, the strategic plans are developed with the component of SMEs. 48% mentioned that the strategy includes the development of industry, and only about 10% stated that the strategy is not developed. But it is important, this strategy should include cooperation with business, community, use of competitive advantages of community and its potential. Only with all this, we will be able to reach positive development in the communities. We believe that we also should collect investment proposals. The Association of Cities of Ukraine propagates this idea. Now we work with the Ministry of Economy concerning collection of references to investment portals and pages to fix them on the map of the Ministry of Economy, and 120 two communities provided information. They have really interesting investment proposals. As of today, we as an association that represent 833 members. We are interested to spread this information among beneficiaries in order that investors had the opportunities to have this information. And today it is important to prepare such materials in foreign languages. And during our sessions, our trainings, we provide recommendations to local government bodies. And in the context of resolution based on Do It, we included proposals. Local government bodies address us with the problem that there are limitations of provision of guarantees to communal enterprises. This limitation is they may provide only for those who are in the territory of the city where the investment project is implemented. These limitations at the budget code of Ukraine, they prevent investment because we have addresses from big cities where investors are ready to come, but due to these limitations, the Ministry of Finances does not provide local guarantees for a local council. This is an important problem. We included it into the resolution, and we hope that this proposal will be implemented. Thank you, Diana. We have a proposal to see the efficient work of the amalgamated communities, about the number of projects they have during the year, and they may increase the process to their budget. And our colleague mentioned the interesting fact that Slovakia develops actively in its industry, and one of the key factors is that they have a network of well-developed industrial parks. That's why I would like to give floor to Igor Guzhva, our leading expert, chairman of the board of the Center for Market Economy Development. And they are at the front line in preparation of recommendations to the draft law concerning industrial parks and some revolutionary and evolutionary changes. So, and the development of proper instruments for regional industrial development. Thank you. Good afternoon once again. First of all, I would like to mention the initiative of the UCCI concerning holding of the industrial days and the profile conferences, including conference on industrial parks. This is an important platform where the representative of business, power, and experts, they can provide their proposals. And this is really great. And those recommendations that we have today, I believe the government should take them into account. If we look at government policy, we have a program of actions of the Cabinet of Ministers, and they say about 40% of growth, increase of export. And also they have some plans for the ministries, and separately they have the budget. There is no comprehensive approach. They have strategic plan of the Ministry of Economy, and it is not comprehensive document. That's why proposals from business associations and participants of the process, all this should be taken into account and revisited. We spoke about industrial policy today a lot. We need it because otherwise we won't be able to reach 40% of growth and the growth of GDP. In our center, we analyzed 11 different industries of processing industry during 10 years, and 10 of them show negative dynamics. Only wood processing industry is in the plus. But this is due to government policy that was formed in 2015. Many criticize moratorium on rolling wood. In metallurgy, there were some legislative initiatives, but with metal, the situation is different, more complicated situation in the world. In the framework of industrial days, during the panel, we spoke the whole day about industrial parks. Industrial parks is the instrument of government policy. In Turkish, Poland, these industrial parks, they have hundreds of them. They are successful. They provide a lot of workplaces, and they increase export. They speak about doubling export for Ukraine, but what would we supply if we do not change the structure? We will have the same results. Speaking about industrial parks in Ukraine, we should note that in Ukraine there is a law on industrial parks. Due to this law, about 40 industrial parks were created. If we analyze those industrial parks, we may see that active are only 5. What we mean by this? Those that are registered, they have managing company and resident. One more important result. If we take all the residents of all Ukrainian industrial parks, their number does not increase the number of one the small industrial park in Turkey. In Korea, 1,200 industrial parks. In Turkey, 315. Poland, hundreds of parks work. And why don't they work in Ukraine? I believe, and my colleagues agree, that state policy is not adequate. If we would like to have new residents in the park, we should improve conditions. They should be even better than in neighboring countries, Poland and Turkey. If we are investors and we want to invest into production, we would like to create innovation, we would like to invest. Where would we go? Maybe this will be Poland or Turkey. The least the interest be in Ukraine, because when we enter these countries, we see sustainable policy in which the business may well develop. There are special territories, special means for development in industrial parks. In Poland and Turkey, we have formed infrastructure, the roads, premises, communications. So we just implement our investment project. And if we go to Ukrainian industrial parks, we see greenfield. You should construct roads, connect to the engineering infrastructure. A lot should be done, and a lot of money would be spent before production phase. And also about placement in industrial parks. Also, we need fiscal policy. When you go to Turkish or Polish industrial parks, there are tax benefits, or they free from taxes for 5 or 10 years. Also, customs incentives. When we bring some equipment to industrial parks, some spare parts abroad, this will be tax-free. In Turkey, there is such an option. If there's a strategic, important, socially important project, if there will be investment, they even provide subsidies for electricity. For example, 75% will be paid for by the government. And we do not have this. And in the resolution that was compiled based on recommendations and proposals of our industrial parks and local government and experts, so we have an immediate need to introduce changes to tax code to free them from taxes 50%, for example. And there should be expert discipline. 50% of tax incentives if you are exporters. Or, for example, customs. For example, Turkish company want to invest 10 million. They buy equipment, they connect it, and here you should have 5 million more. This is the margin, and this reduces motivation to do it here. Also, infrastructure projects compensations. Infrastructure should be improved in our industrial parks. We have regional development fund, but this is an option. This is like a lottery. You may wait for a year or two, and you won't have anything. And there is a European practice. It is not obligatory in implementation, but I would advise to use it. When you enter the park, you invest into infrastructure, you may get a compensation from the state. This is an innovation. In order that it work, we should create a special agency for industrial parks like in Turkey. Now it is dealt with by the Ministry of Economic Development, but they only register industrial parks. Parks need promotion. Investors, they should be dealt with online. There should be proper agency and support. Industrial park is one of the instruments. When we produce something, we need agency to deal with credits, and we need a serious system of customs duties. Today it is easier to import than to produce something. So we should use different instruments comprehensively, and then we'll be able to double export. And if we do not do it, then we will have only 20 million who work in non-industrial sector, and we won't have good results, but we should work, and let's do it. And now we expect questions from our audience. Please wait a moment. Thank you, all the speakers, for this wonderful discussion, for this interesting overview of development of business and the role of the state in dealing with these issues. I would like to have more information about the participation of science in this process. Thank you. This is really important. And representative of the Institute of Economy, I would like to give the answer to this question. I'm the representative of the science. I work in industry development department of our institute. So there may be a conflict of interests in adoption of the normative documents that establish the rules in the market. That's why clear scientific assessment will allow to prevent abuse and to provide comprehensive view of the future industrial development. The experts of our department joined the preparation of the Industrial Week and events, and they provided recommendations to the final resolution. Due to these events and communication with the business, we were able to collect an evidence base and to carry out an analysis concerning instruments that may be useful in industrial policy in our country. Also, we participated in the first and second conference in new industrialization, and this allowed us to sum up the results in our scientific works. Last year, the development of industry for the growth of Ukrainian economy and the industrial policy as the key element of economic development. So we have these materials free on our site. So science actively participate in these processes. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Oksana. When we prepared the law on industrial development, this will be a base for us because everyone speaks about it, but till now people do not understand what it is, and this issue is not regulated properly at the legislative level. Science in the modern world, this is 90% of everything when the new samples are being developed. If we are speaking about science, economy, macroeconomy, there is an important fragment of work that is absent in the country. When we take some decision or some document is created, we should see how it works, not for some person or sector. It should work for the whole economy. Before taking decisions in the parliament or in the government, analytical centers should prepare the materials, and this result should be taken into account. It doesn't work in our country because decisions are taken in the interests of some people and groups. And if you calculate it, you will see that it is for the benefit of one, and it takes from 10. So we should think about science. There should be proper macroeconomic analysis that provides basis for taking decisions. Thank you. Olena, Institute of Economy and Forecasts. And you've said that today that you need those supports actively Ukraine concerning goal 9 about industrial development. So in these difficult economic conditions for Ukraine, does UNIDO has some programs? What help it can provide at an institutional level to Ukraine in order to introduce circular economy and to promote the growth of the industry? This is the question to Lyudmyla. Thank you for this question. UNIDO is trying to implement these issues in our projects. We have now 6 projects. And they provide help to industrial enterprises, to communities, and they provide modern trends, modern instruments. We have the project on introduction of the system of energy management in Ukrainian enterprises. It envisages the development of the standards and provision of help to agency of conformity assessment, and at the same time provision, not grants or credits, but the mechanism of compensation of expenses of enterprises for the introduction of energy management system. These are the metering devices and other things, and this is about Industry 4.0. Also, we have 2 projects concerning development and an analysis of the chains of value chains. Wood processing project, there will be one more project, and support of the processes of technical regulation, how SMEs may enter international value chains, how to export, and some others. I would like to add that about industrial parks. Industrial parks, this is overall name, common name. In the world, there are many types of industrial zones, of industrial and eco-innovative parks. This is the latest trend. Eco-industrial parks and industrial and production parks. So this may be good for innovation, to improve environment. And in the new law, we should envisage this conversion of industrial parks. We should have different resource efficiency and circular instruments. Industry 4.0 and circular economy, these are the two sides of the process. This is better regulation, better measurement of results, and the increase of productivity. 1 minute, please. Vitaliy, I have a proposal to you from the center that we should have these industrial weeks in the future. And we hope that today's event, this should be a continuation and preparation to the next event. Maybe in November, December, we should continue our active work in the framework of processing industries. We should have regular meetings with the machine building industry representatives and other industries. And then after this, to have a general meeting, to have initiatives, ideas, visions, and we should work on these issues beforehand. And I hope that UNIDO and other participants would gladly join us to work throughout the year together with us. We will think about it and we will try to implement it. If you do not have questions, I would like to sum up, and I would like to say about our agenda. First, you all understand that we have proponents of the development of the country. It's an industrial element as the basic element for the development of the country. And we are proponents of this, and we do not hide it. This is innovative, industrial, agrarian development of the country. And we should work with the processing industry because it adds value in the country. So we finalized the document, and there will be a resolution on the site of the UCCI, and there are many proposals, about 30. This document will be sent to the Prime Minister of Ukraine, to the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, and to the Office of the President of Ukraine with the proposal to take them into account during preparation of normative documents. First of all, strategy of the industrial development, and also in the activity of the operative headquarters that is created in order to revive industrial development. Please, you may find these documents on site. Also, there are presentations. They are really interesting presentations of our speakers. They will be made public. And tomorrow, this information will be on the site of UCCI. And lastly, I would like to I've mentioned Vladimir Zolotaryov, and we had also interesting speaker, industrialist, Shufani, and he provided an interesting quote. He said that his acquaintance came to Egypt and he was surprised. He said that he does not believe that Egyptians were able to build such pyramids. And he said, if we do not grow our industry, then we will even forget that Ukraine built an 124 124 airplane, or that it created space equipment and equipment for other industries. We need proper legal and financial regulation, and first of all, we should have sustainable culture, industrial culture, and proper industrial policy we should have. Thank you once again to all the colleagues, and we thank all those who watch us online. Thank you.